Arturo. I'm so glad to have you here today. It's such a thrill and an honor.
How are you, Yolanda? The pleasure is all mine.
Probably the first thing that I'd love to talk about with you as it relates to this new release for harp solo called Wildflower is both your process of writing it and my process in receiving this incredible gift, which is part of the 5 Minutes for Earth collection. And I'm wondering, what was your vision when you began writing this? I mean, it's so beautiful, just sublimely gorgeous. What were you thinking when you started?
I couldn't say writing because I didn't write anything. In the way in the way I compose music, I sit down in the keyboard or on the piano. Then my engineer always has instruction to whatever I play, he recorded.
And your inspiration, I would imagine, was quite preserved because if you were just improvising it in the way you heard it, then you weren't bogged down with like the pencil and the
I,
Sibelius and
I
all
send
that.
you I send you the original thing I did in the beginning,
Mhm.
and I sound exactly the same, when he put it on paper. But in the way you made the interpretation of my little piece, enhanced and increased the level. I'm so grateful because you recorded and you're playing, and because that's the very first time I write something for harp.
Well, I'm honored.
Yeah, and so far, the comments I have from friends and musicians and people, everybody love it. Everybody feel like kind of a peaceful feeling, Everybody feel the same thing, and my wife listened to that, and I play back and your video, and she said, "Wow, she's great, but the piece is pretty." It's not like it's not like a specific genre that you can categorize that because it's like a free flowing,
Right.
It's something like I was improvising my feelings and then thinking about how that thing gonna sound in the harp. That was the only thing I got in mind all the time, how that thing gonna with all those arpeggios and thing because the harp has the instrument has some kind of resource that they're different than any other instrument. Although that's
Yeah, we can sound very cascading, a lot of waterfally kind of sounds
yeah,
on the
yeah,
harp.
yeah. But the sound is gorgeous too because the sound is in any kind of genre when the harp participate add something special.
But what I think is just kind of amazing serendipity is that, I would imagine most of the chromatic choices you made, most of the harmonic um, decisions and modulations, and all of that was probably pretty organic. That was probably how you did it. You probably wanted to do it that way, and that's how it came out. But you know what? I certainly have to move a considerable number of pedals when I play it, but it works.
No.
Not everything works on the harp, and this did.
But the piece in general is my I don't know, it's a kind of my I'm going to tell you the very truth because I've been for many years, people categorize you always, as a Latin jazz trumpet player. I hate that. I hate that because number one, the word Latin, it was a language that many centuries ago the Roman used to speak and became the language of a Catholic Church and on and on, And then for that reason, we are not Latin. And that style of music, the people who created, they call it Afro-Cuban jazz. They didn't call Latin jazz. I love music. And my favorite composer, by the way, because people associate me with something else. My favorite composer is Sergei Rachmaninoff.
Oh, me too. The second
I
piano
mean,
concerto is probably my number one piece.
me too, 100%,
All right, there we
hand down,
go.
hand down, 100%.
Hmm.
I listen to everything, and I all my life I've been trying to learn about music, period. I am interested to hear everything, and because you never know when, how, from who you could learn something and include that thing into your memory, into your skills and thing to play or to compose, because a good influence is always welcome. It's always good.
Well, we're all like a big quilt of our influences, what we love, what we
Yep.
heard, what we grew up with, things we don't even know are in there. It kind of comes out, you
You
know?
know what I said? When you are smart, you shut your mouth, close your eyes, and open your ear, and be like a sponge to absorb anything and everything that could make a contribution to your mentality in general.
Yep. Listening is, I think, something we all need to do more of. The world just goes so fast that just to sit and listen and maybe watch and absorb is getting less and less common.
And also, I said music in general is a balm for the soul, especially nowadays when we're dealing with so many weird things.
Mhm.
Every time you open the thing or watch the news or whatever, oh my goodness, we have to fight against that because we cannot permit that those kind of things that are going on nowadays in general make you feel down. You understand what I mean? And burn your groove. No, I have to fight very hard to nothing burn my groove. I have to keep my passion alive. I try to write a piece of music every single day, and I practice. Of course, I have no choice. I have to practice every day, and nothing and nobody gonna take away from me my love and gratefulness to the music because I owe everything to the music. I was a kind of a hopeless kid in the middle of the countryside of the island of Cuba. I not even made the school. I quit the school when I was in fifth grade. No more school. That's it. Because I started working when I was 10 years old to help my family. We were so poor. And I owe everything to the music. And then it's not only my passion, it's something like aliment my blood, my heart, my lung, my liver, everything.
Well, I talk about this in the program notes, the liner notes of Wildflower. And, everything you just said is very interesting because I came to you through a sort of a strange little path because you and my husband, Michael Sachs, also a trumpet player, are good friends. But
Extraordinary trumpet player, extraordinary, amazing trumpet player. It's not like a trumpet player. He's
well,
a real
I'm proud of
deal.
him.
It's
He's
a real deal.
He's not bad. But, what is funny is that, I've known the two of your friends for years. But you know how I discovered or had the idea that, God, I should ask Arturo if he might want to write a piece for 5 minutes? I
I'm
did.
glad you did it.
Well, listen to what happened. It was during COVID, and right before COVID, we had both my husband and I had gone on a million college tours with our daughter. And we were, COVID, everybody watching a lot of movies, and we were scrolling through Netflix and happened onto a movie called Middleton.
A,
And
a Middleton.
at Middleton, yes. And,
Yeah.
and the description of it was a couple of parents meet while on a college tour. And we thought, well, that certainly we can relate to. Let's watch that. And we watched it. And
It's
as
a
I was
good movie.
listening to the music, I had no idea you wrote the movie score
Sport.
for that.
The
I
sport,
had
yeah.
no idea. And I was listening to it, and I just, for some reason, I had just begun, receiving and assembling pieces for the 5 Minutes for Earth project. And I said, to Mike, I want a huge range of styles and and influences. And I wonder, let's watch all the credits at the end. I want to see who wrote that music. And when it came up, we both just cracked up because, well, I can give you Arturo's email if you want it. It was like, well, that's the easiest contact I've ever had to make. And so I wrote you a few days later, and I was over the moon when you said yes. And I think another thing you said that was amazing is that I too have felt that during the pandemic, and and even for quite a while now, the vibe of society has become kind of dark and very cynical. And I just, when your piece arrived and I started playing through it, it was like, I say this in my liner notes, it was the light and the breath I needed so badly at that point. I felt like the more minutes I played it, the better I felt. And that's what.
That's very kind of you, but I'm gonna tell you, as everybody else, I was locked down here, for more than 2 years. And I said, because all my life I've been, traveling and playing live gig all over, and to be for more than 2 years sitting home doing nothing was a kind of frustration for everybody. And especially when you're the thing that fit your heart is the contact with the audience.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing for an artist. And I said, oh my goodness, what are you gonna do? And then I swear to God that in that period, I wrote and make a videos of more like than 800 new pieces. All of them there in Instagram and in my YouTube. No, sorry, in my Facebook.
Well, I think, putting stuff out there is becoming such a resource for young people and older people like me too. I know that when I began learning your work, I didn't want to play it in just sort of a, however, any which way. I wanted to really kind of use it as an opportunity to steep myself in your sound, your style. I studied recordings of yours, videos that I could find. I listened to other great jazz artists, and I guess my goal with your piece was to almost try and make it sound like I was my own solo line, like a trumpet or a voice or some independent melodic line, and then the rest of me was just accompanying that instead of it being,
Accompany yourself.
what's that?
Accompany yourself at the same time.
Yeah, and it was truly, I mean, I learned so much with your piece. I learned, it's almost like separate. I mean, we have to do this sometimes when we're working with a complex melodic line that's interwoven. It's not alien, but this was so freeing. I felt. I mean, I hope I hit the mark musically from your perspective, but
You improve and enhance and increase the quality of the thing. You make
oh,
much better than I even could imagine. You
oh
did an
well.
incredible job. I told you that, and I'm gonna repeat that many times. You improved the quality of the piece. Oh, from 0 to 60 miles in 2 seconds.
Well, that you have no idea how much that means to me because it was just one of the most rewarding things I've done in a very long time. I was fun, and you know what it reminded me of? I mean, very often I think, I love what I do. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love what I do. I've um I've given my life to music, but at the same time, a lot of what we do, at least on the harp, can be very tedious. But your piece, it was almost, I have to say, your piece was like therapy for me. It was like a musical shrink, because it got me in this frame of mind that everything just flowed so easily, and I felt like there was infinite freedom
I'm gonna confess you something. Most of the time, I sit in the piano on the keyboard or whatever. One of the things always in my mind is I want to break that stereotype that some people has about me and my playing. They most of them they mention my abilities to play high notes and to play fast and this and that, and that's it. And I want to go against that.
Mhm.
The music I fill my heart more than anything else. It is as we talked already about Rachmaninoff, for example, or or Chopin, or Ravel and Debussy. I'm crazy about those two French composers. I'm crazy about them. For example, one of my favorite pieces of music. This is one of my favorite pieces of music.
Ravel, Pavon. It seems our taste um, overlaps a lot.
Talking about what I said about when I sit down in the piano, my favorite music is impressionist, romantic, melodic, something with beautiful chord changes, and wonderful melodic line.
Well,
And
it's no wonder this piece you wrote was so perfect on the harp because if you're a fan of Debussy and Ravel, those two composers were probably responsible for the harp becoming a well-known, recognized instrument. They understood this instrument, like kind of no one else at that time.
harp, the instrument itself, is not like a piece of cake instrument to write for. To understand all the thing with the pedals and the possibility of the instrument. No, no, I have no clue. I don't gonna lie to you. I have no clue how to write for that. I just play the piece and I said, I hope she like it. That's the only thing I keep in mind. I said, I hope she will like it. If she like it, okay, maybe she gonna figure it out how to play it.
Well, I feel like there was some sort of serendipity going on, some happy coincidence with all of this because, when I first sat down, when you sent me your piece and I first sat down to just, work through it and see what was what, one of the first things I said to myself was, my mom would have loved this piece. My mom was a pianist, my first piano teacher.
Oh
She
yeah.
passed away in 2012 from Alzheimer's disease, and music was that thing for her. I remember at the very end of her life, I would play some of her favorite pieces, some of the stuff you mentioned, Ravel Piano Concerto, Chopin. And I remember playing through this and just thinking, I wish she could hear this. So in the end, I dedicated my performance of this to her.
She will on heaven for
I
sure.
think so. I think so.
I'm gonna play another of my favorite melody all time.
Doesn't get no better than that.
Rachmaninoff, man. And
Oh,
he was so smart because he moved to Beverly Hills and he died over here in Beverly Hills.
well, I cannot tell you how many miles I have driven when with my harp in the back when I was just getting started. I used to cross the country back and forth all by myself in the car, going to concerts, and I
Yeah.
always wanted my own harp, especially at the beginning. And that the Rachmaninoff's Second Symphony, Rachmaninoff's Second Piano Concerto, those were my soundtrack. I would just they'd finish and I'd push it again. It was my buddy for many many miles then.
Your companion.
It sure was. But I'll tell you, I cannot thank you enough for this. I think that in addition to adding a gorgeous piece to the 5 Minutes for Earth collection, this was a gift to me on several levels. It was kind of a portal into a memory of my mom. It was a delightful release, musically speaking, at a time when I
That's
really
so sweet.
needed it.
That's very sweet of you. That's very sweet. And that
And
makes
I
that
have a feeling a lot of people are going to relate to
you
this
know
piece of music.
what? The only thing I can promise you 100% is your words and your dedication and the way you play my little piece is a huge inspiration to me to keep working and improving and learning and I gonna tell you that this really I if you want to play another piece of mine anytime, just ask. And
Well, I'll be first in line if
I
you
go
want to do something else.
more
I
than happy.
adore it.
I'm gonna be more than happy and honored to do it because it's such a something so good for my soul, in the way you talk about the little piece and I related to that connection with your mom that make it special and touch my heart too because in certain way I would love my mom to hear that too, on heaven.
Well, I so thank you. You are just, that best combination of wildly talented and a dear, wonderful human. So thank you. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, Yolanda. Thank you.